Craftman has an affliction. I have the affliction of seeing a glue gun and thinking it's a space speeder, science fiction mobile of some type. Maybe that we can put a little man in, have him pilot it around, fly it around. But we don't want to use a pre-made figure. That would be too simple. Let's try the Cobblestone Corners collection from Dollar Tree. That's you a little crew for $1 right there. Look at that. You could build a complete family. I typically use that one right there. That one is pretty versatile in the green jacket. But look at him. He might be getting ready to lay that down and just get in and pilot something. What about we use a pest dispenser for the head? Get real exaggerated. Ooh, yeah. Craftman likes to find one standout feature, one gimmick or combination. Like imagine using a big old head for the pilot. That would be funny. That would give it a gimmick or a feature, all right? But now is the point where I start to second guess myself. Because I wanted to use a Cobblestone Corners figures here, but that head might be too big. In other words, if I'm going to use that body and that, it might be possible. We'll see. In the meantime, let's gather our tools required. All right, there we go. And let's get some glue. That's my main two ingredients right there. But we do need to change this blade right here. And I like to use the number 24 blades. I like to take my old blades and I never throw these in the garbage can. Please don't do that. That might hurt somebody later on when they toting the garbage off and that pokes, And I think we need to make us another trip to Dollar Tree. Maybe we can do something with these characters too. I just want to tell you my thought process. I'm not buying figures at random. Each one of these I bought because I thought they had interesting hands. Why is Craftman focusing on the pilot, the character, when we should be focusing on the vehicle, the glue gun speeder? Because the pilot is going to be a key feature of this project, and so I want to give a lot of attention to making the pilot, the head, and the hands and everything. I'm honestly beating myself up a little bit because I said, I think I pictured that being the thumbnails, that little head right there in our little speeder, But I'm thinking that this body might, at least this head might be better than this head. And I know I could transition that head to that body better than I can that head to that body. I've also still got some Final Faction parts from the Dollar Tree, as well as some parts from previous videos, and got some black pepper lid right. Let's see. My wife said, "Baby, can you use this pepper lid?" I said, "Baby, you know me so well." Yes, I can. And just some various other things I've been picking up and putting in my pocket as I come across them. I think we got enough for a music montage. Yeah. PVC is notoriously tough, so please be careful. I'm using a heat gun so that I can soften this PVC arm and hands so that I can bend the fingers into grabbing a fist shape. Do this in a ventilated area. Now that's the main parts for the pilot, but I'm not going to put it in the final pose just yet. Now it's time to turn our attention to the vehicle, which is a Gorilla Glue glue gun that I have disassembled. So you can get you one for $1. Don't worry about having to get this Gorilla Glue. It might have been like $10 or something for that. Always remember to wear y'all dust masks, please. All right, I don't want y'all breathing all that mess right there. You don't need that in your lungs. As we can see, we've got a little cleanup to do right there. Not a big deal. I'm just going to take and trim it up with my X-Acto knife. It is safe to cut towards yourself despite popular belief as long as you're using a thumb stop and you're not bringing the full force of your arm into yourself. Please don't do that. Look at this. The little heel of my thumb is hitting against the knurled part of my handle, not my blade. And likewise, if you do a push stroke, I would recommend that you do this gently. Just kind of lever action. Just lever action. And when it comes time to sand plastic, I always like to utilize wet sander. You just get your sandpaper wet. You also might use a sanding sponge. And that's going to keep the plastic particulate matter suspended in liquid. As long as you keep it wet, you shouldn't be breathing any plastic. But if you want to be extra safe, put you a dust mask on as well. And now we get to build this mama jama. Yeah. I'm going to look through model kits first. I usually start with my scraps and things, but I said, let me see if there's any really interesting standout pieces in here. There's lots and lots and lots of just looking, comparing, testing, seeing if this will work, seeing if that'll work. There's a lot of eyeballing that we do before we start gluing. Like Yogi Berra says, half this game is 50% mental. So we want to have some cables and hoses coming out, and I'm thinking like that could be, let's say that's like a piece of metal that would be protecting, all the delicate little hookups right there. So I'm going to go ahead and just have me some, places to hook some hoses into. What we want to do now is, in my opinion, I think we should bring some details back up in here to encompass the main body of the glue gun so where it really becomes integral to the speeder, not just a piece of a glue gun. So I'm going to start finding little elements that I can kind of bring out to the front of the ship, the speeder. This model kit piece, I think, could look really... Ooh, look at this. Let's do this. Yeah, like that. Things like that could really start tying things together, you know. I keep thinking we need some kind of little decorative sticking out here on the front to finish it. We'll come back to that. In the meantime, let's build us some weapon systems. There it is so far, ladies and gentlemen. What do y'all think about that? Still want to test some hoses and things, but I feel like we did enough, hopefully, to make it not look like a glue gun and look like some type of speeder. But and I realized that handle, that's way up there, jacked up real high like that. But I took some inspiration from a Rat Fink right there, you know. Yeah. It's exaggerated anyway. Speaking of exaggerated, we gotta work on the pilot. But first, let's prime this mama jamma. And I'm just using some vinyl and fabric paint right there. Now Craftman went here and used a black primer. The reason being is because I'm going to come in here with some metallic. And so I have found that black base coat is pretty good, especially if you're going to have some chromey elements. Now that we got the speeder assembled and all primed up, let's go ahead and, go ahead and assemble this man because, like Mama said, he needs to be something done with him. And then for the arms, we want it to be we want him to just be trying to hang on for dear life, but also look at his face. He's having a great time. All right, we want to show that. And we want this other arm to be just kind of along for the ride. It's just kind of waving in the breeze back here. Bye. All right, I'm not gonna glue the eyeballs on just yet. I'm going to wait until we prime this gentleman right there. And hopefully, yeah, look at that, ladies and gentlemen. I was actually just taking a chance of hoping it was going to be able to hold out. I was afraid this flexible PVC might would droop, but look at him. Yeah, man, he's hanging out. Let's fix this man up. All right. I'm going to use some 2-part green stuff, epoxy putty, to sculpt some little extra details. And maybe do some hair going back here, like his hair blowing in the wind. And to finish it off, I'm going to use some liquid green stuff. I did this in a previous video and I found that it gave a pretty nice, even, consistent surface to the entire model. A pretty neat advantage to using green stuff is that green stuff also can flex along with the PVC, so that's kind of a benefit right there. And the green stuff will accept paint better, so win-win right there, baby. And now we turn our attention back to the speeder, which is in need of some color. I'm going to use some basic little spray paint right here and some selective mask ink. All right, so there we go. Now we've got a basic mask now, and we can apply paint to just this area without getting this area all painted. But I want to show you a technique. We just need to get a 2-for-1 combo right here with a mustard mask. And we're just gonna semi-carefully come in and just kind of dab it around the corners. In the areas where, your vehicle might be receiving a little bit more damage, or maybe more love bugs hit it from the front, What we're going to do is use this to reveal a metallic look underneath. And I just realized I've got to tape the cockpit. Come on, Crab, man, you're over playing with mustard. And you know what you can do about these little areas that's not masked off 100%? Put a little mustard on it. Don't tell me how to do my mask now. All right, ladies and gentlemen, our mustard mess is ready to be painted with some golden sunset, to be specific. All right, still smells significantly like mustard, but we're going to take a Q-tip or something and just kind of get that out of there, all that mustard. Now, it doesn't look as dramatic because, there's all this silver that's competing with the silver edges that we just revealed. So what I'm going to do is to put this mask back on, something like that right there. And then I'm just going to take some gray and go, and then I'm going to come in and just kind of rub off some of the paint while it's still wet, revealing the metallic underside. Let's see how that turns out. All right, so that's what we're looking like so far. So, we're getting somewhere, but the fun part is just about to begin. Let's weather this mama jama. I felt like our pilot needed just a little extra something. So I looked over here at Orko. I said, Orko, you mind if I borrow that hair? So we wanted to look like the hair's maybe kind of sitting low. I mean, like it's just barely hanging out. And we want to have a good, strong silhouette. So try to line things up. There we go. Got a little personality now, To be honest, it reminds me a lot of, are y'all familiar with Grickle, Graham and Apple? Grickle cartoons are pretty funny, pretty interesting. Can be a little scary for children, so parents, but I hope y'all enjoyed that. Kit bashing and trash building and scratch building, it can all be quite therapeutic. Give it a try and please be safe, okay? Going into the new year, Craftsman is looking at doing things differently. This past year, my video output has dropped lower than ever before. At the same time, I'm putting more work into these videos than ever before, and this vicious cycle is kind of continued, so we gotta shake things up. Looking back at my old videos, I can see, Craftman, baby, you weren't making 20 some odd minutes videos. Look at the... And also, I wasn't doing a ton of scratch building and kit bashing, so my videos were more planned and did not take on a life of their own and would go for a week or two extra, So we're gonna change some things. What would y'all like to see? Craftsman has alternate videos in mind too, in addition to DIY. Sometimes we just want to talk about movies or music. Would that be interesting? Let me know in the comments. Thank you to everyone who has supported us on Patreon. That's the reason we got any videos done this year, period. Thank you so much, my family and me. Appreciate you. We love y'all and hope y'all keep on steady craft. Microphone's not right. Okay. All right. Go, let's do it again. My wife said, baby, can you let me get the exposure right. Yeah. Sometimes getting the timing right is pretty difficult. So see, my hands are free. That's because I have the tripod arm hooked onto my underarm. And so I can actually, at the same time say, okay, we're going to transition. Whoa. Then I can be, I'm gluing, But I have to get the glue in sync with my arm movement. And also I got to make sure it's in focus. Yeah, I think that's right. Because the previous shot before this pans up real quick. So now we're going to go, okay, I hope this works. Yeah. Oh, need to hold it. That's not too bad. Now, I use the black primer because what I do is I take my old blades and I would like to, what the heck? Sorry about my language there. I don't usually say heck. You can just go here like that. Come on, Craftman. Craftman, you goober. I'm always looking for things. We in focus. That could be a pretty interesting sitcom. Join us next week on Particulate Matters.